I know what you're thinking. Smitty, how can you be doubting Saquon Barkley? What's wrong with you, Smitty?
The man had 2,000 yards rushing
and 13 touchdowns. But here's the thing. As much as I love Saquon Barkley, as much as I feel like I want to be behind this in 2025, I want to be on board this train, this number right here. But it's not just 345 carries that he had in 2024. He had 430 plus carries if you include the playoffs. And this is an alarming number. 371 is a carry total you never want a running back to get. The 371 carry curse has taken out more running backs than we can count. And while Barkley is an anomaly, Barkley's built different. I know we're going to continue to think that every running back can handle this kind of usage later in their career. Derrick Henry's built different, Smitty. Derrick Henry can do it. We can't even talk about Derrick Henry and say, oh yeah, that should be, something that can be replicated now by every running back. The difference between Derrick Henry and this man right here is that he walks into 2025 with a pretty big injury history. Barkley took a beating last year as an injury-prone player. We can't dismiss his injuries. We can't say he's shaken free from the injury label. We might say he's heading toward that direction, but he has not shaken free the injury label. 430 freaking carries, 470 plus total touches last year. Astronomical amount of touches. You now put him on the Madden cover, and I know that's a ridiculous thing to use. I get it. But the reason players get put on the Madden cover to begin with is when they've been overly used and they're in the spotlight right now. So that's why you tend to see players on the Madden cover get injured, is because they were the most spotlighted player in the game the year prior. Barkley, with Kellen Moore moving on, we saw what happened to the Eagles when Shane Steichen moved on. They struggled a great deal that next year. I believe that the loss of Kellen Moore is going to be pretty tough on this team, at least early on. I think they could lean on Barkley more than they want to. I think they could change directions. And I'm just not a big believer in Jalen Hurts passing the football right now. I know he runs amazingly, but Jalen Hurts has been struggling for about a year now throwing the ball. And you could say, well, they won a Super Bowl. I get that. But if you watch Jalen Hurts, you know they struggled. You watch A.J. Brown, you know he complained and cried on the sideline reading books, which everyone made light of. But it was a bad thing for him to be on the sideline reading a book while his team was out there fighting to get the ball back. His defense was fighting to get the ball back. I think there's a little bit of a bumpy road in store for the Eagles in 2025. I'm not saying they don't win their division. I'm not saying they do. I'm not saying they don't. I'm not saying they don't make the playoffs. I'm not saying any of that. I'm saying this defense is great enough to carry them a lot. But are they the same team? Are they producing the same fantasy football numbers? Is Saquon Barkley running the ball 400 times again in 2025? Will Saquon Barkley hold up at all, even if he starts off hot? And no one's saying that he looked like he fell off at all. No one's saying that. I'm not saying that. No one's saying that. Doesn't mean that after 4 weeks of looking amazing, which I think he will look great in week 1, will look great in week 2. No one's going to be saying, oh, never mind. I won't be coming in and saying, never mind. He looks great in weeks 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm telling you right now, he's probably going to blow up in the first month or 2 of football. But where he's going to maybe leave you hanging is around midseason or double-digit weeks, if I had to guess and predict an injury. Smitty, you can't predict injuries. Predicting injuries is so stupid. No one can predict injuries, Smitty. You kind of can. And avoiding players like Barkley in this situation when there's a safer option there for you is the key to this problem. The answer to this conundrum. Let's break down why Saquon Barkley is in the panic chamber.
You are entering the panic chamber.
So unfortunately, here we are walking into the late part of June 29. And we've got to have a conversation, a real tough conversation about how Saquon Barkley is maybe in a void in 2025. I am not saying that he's going to come out of the gate in week number 1 and look bad. I'm not saying he won't come out and look like the number 1 overall running back in week 1. He certainly can, especially if they, new offensive coordinator try to just dominate the run. The defense sets him up. It's certainly capable, the situation of being one to look very much like it did last year in the first month or 2 of the season. I guess what I would tell you is if you draft Barkley and he's popping off and it's week 8 and you get a nice little offer where you get somebody that might be, I don't know, maybe not slumping, but not playing to their potential, but they will. Maybe the version of Bucky Irving last year going like that, and you've got Barkley, and you're in 2025 looking to maybe get another wide receiver with that kind of player, you make the swap and you get another player thrown in. You're getting a Bucky version of Bucky last year, this year, some other player that's popping off like that, and a whole nother player. You're getting a package, a traditional 2 players for your high-risk player that's already done very well for you. I'm just telling you that the likelihood of Barkley getting injured is very, very high. It's not kind of high. It's very high. And while there's certainly an anomaly type situation brewing here, I'm not telling you that he can't deliver 17 games of amazing football in 2025. I am not saying it's impossible. It is not an impossibility. But what I am telling you is that when you are faced with a situation where you can have Barkley at 1.2, or you can go with Bijan at 1.2, or you can draft Barkley at 1.3, or you take Jahmyr Gibbs at 1.3, or CeeDee Lamb at 1.3, or anywhere in the territory of 1 to 5 overall. Barkley's not falling out of 5, but any one of these players, I believe Barkley is a bigger risk than Bijan by a country mile. I think Gibbs is safer than Bijan, even though he lost his offensive coordinator. I think they're going to revert to running the ball more, and this is not a player I'm concerned with anyway because he doesn't hold a lot of injury risk. He's young. CeeDee Lamb, he's going to have a baller year this year. These are all safer players. It's not about Barkley can't do it. It's about, are you really going to run the risk of going down this road with an injury-prone player that's going to try and defy a statistical near improbability of doing what he did last year again this year without getting injured, coming off the 430 plus attempts on the ground, coming off the 470 total touches? That's the question. It's not about if it's possible. It's about what is smarter. These 3 guys, JJ, you could include in the mix here. You could include a couple more players if you want in the mix right here. But at the end of the day, give me Bijan over Saquon Barkley. Give me Bijan, who literally has nothing but positive things heading in his direction. There's no negatives. There's no new red flags. There's no old red flags. There's nothing. Everything in Bijan's world's either on the uptick or exactly where it was last year in amazing fashion. Bijan's going to get all the work. Bijan's in an offense that's going to live in the red zone, headed by Michael Penix Jr. Michael Penix Jr. is different than Kirk Cousins, who didn't throw a single touchdown pass in 4 straight games before they benched him in that final game. And this is a guy, Michael Penix Jr., that can run. He's got wheels. So then you got to worry about where he's at. You can't stack the box because not only can he run, but he can knife up the defense. You got London going crazy with Penix Jr., stretching the field. You got a rookie in Nash mixed with Mooney, who should have a good year. I mean, Kyle Pitts might be revitalized because of Penix Jr. I am so excited about the Falcons, who drafted 2 edge rushers. The Falcons absolutely crushed the NFL draft. They took their edge rusher Walker at 15, who was easily a top 8, top 5 overall player. And then over in this later part of the draft at 26 overall, James Pierce Jr., they got 2 edge rushers. Remember when they drafted Michael Penix Jr., it was, oh, we should have got our edge rusher. What a waste of a pick. And your boy Smitty said, no. This is a brilliant move. The Kirk Cousins move, I can't say that was brilliant. Of course I can't. Of course I can say it wasn't brilliant. But I'm just saying, when they signed Kirk Cousins and everybody kept saying they shouldn't then go get Penix Jr., that one mistake doesn't mean you don't go grab a field general. And so it was the right move. The wrong move was signing Kirk Cousins, but the right move was Penix Jr. And now they've got 2 edge rushers. They have one of the sneakiest drafts in the 2025 NFL draft because the defense is going to help reciprocate to the offense, the field position back and forth. And this team, the Falcons, will live in the red zone because of the defense, because of the defensive upgrades. Give me Bijan all day long over Saquon Barkley. There is not a safer running back in fantasy football than Bijan Robinson. And then you throw in Jahmyr Gibbs and you have the stat line that is this right here. How are you not now right there neck and neck with Bijan and above a guy who just got 430 carries And really, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that he had a bad year. I'm not suggesting that at all about Saquon. He had 2,000 yards, but he only had 13 touchdowns. I mean, that's kind of surprising. You could say, oh, well, Hurts vultured a lot of them, and he'll get some more work at the 1 yard line. He stopped at the 1 yard line a handful of times. I mean, you can make up whatever narrative you want to explain why he didn't get his touchdowns, but he didn't get his touchdowns. I mean, 13's great, but this is not a running back that scored 20 like Jahmyr Gibbs. This is not a running back that could score Bijan this year. So you think Bijan's not scoring, 20 total touchdowns? Bijan could run for 20 touchdowns this year. So there's just two safer running backs by a country mile. Again, to preface what I'm saying, I am not saying avoid Barkley. I'm not saying Barkley is trash. I'm not saying that Barkley's 100% a bust. I'm just saying there's no way I'm passing on Bijan or Jahmyr Gibbs for Saquon Barkley. And nearly every time I'm in a position to draft Barkley, I can get at least one of these guys. And if I can't, I'll get lammed. I'll get lammed. I don't mind getting lammed. I don't know about you, but it sounds pretty good.
Get lammed.
Lamb Chops is a remarkable wide receiver that now has George Pickens just keeping defenses honest, and Dak Prescott's going to have a good year. If you don't like Lamb, throw JJ in. Regardless, there's at least one wide receiver after Jamar Chase in JJ or Lamb. Maybe you like Neighbors. Maybe you like someone else. There's at least one wide receiver that will always be available that is just a safer play than Saquon Barkley. So again, to tie it all together, this is not a player that I am doubting from a physical perspective when he's on the field and healthy. This is not a player that I think anybody should be looking at as a bust in week one. And if you draft him and you cuff him and you say, Smitty, I'm going to take my chances, I ask you as you near double-digit weeks to poke around and just see if you can get a player you like very close to Barkley, or a player that's a step below him, but you love the player and they're gonna exceed and become that Bucky Irving of 2024 in 2025. Maybe it's someone like Breece Hall that just, maybe he struggles in the beginning of the year, but he starts getting going, and field starts getting going, and all of a sudden Breece Hall looks like he's taken off, and you can go get a wide receiver, an additional player in that player swap before Barkley potentially has more risk, because he'll have more risk every game that he plays. Every game that he plays, every 20, 30 carries he adds on to last year's workload, which was over 430 total carries. Every game he adds another 25 or 30, he's more likely to get injured that next week. So it's going to progressively be a riskier and riskier proposition as you march down weeks 10, week 9, week 8, week 11, week 12, anywhere near double-digit weeks. You're going to be risking the biscuit every step of the way. And you might say, I don't care. It's fine. But I just sit here and say, okay, if you want to go down that road, fine. If you own them in a league you already have drafted, or a dynasty league, you already have them. And I get it. You want to ride the train until the wheels fall off or the train derails. I get it. I'm not going to argue with you on that. You do what you got to do. But I will say this. If you haven't drafted yet, if in best ball or in redraft, I don't mind in best ball getting a certain percentage of diversity going on with your rosters. But if you haven't drafted yet, you're going into your work league, your mom and pop league, your buddy league, I urge you to grab the safer player that is sitting right next to Saquon Barkley. Because here's the thing you got to answer or look at. If I'm wrong and Barkley balls out, there's still a great chance that you're not going to be wrong. You're just going to have a player that's equal to Barkley, and the guy that drafted Barkley will also win. You're both going to have great players. Everybody wins. If I'm right, you win a league if you're drafting Bijan, Gibbs, or Lamb. If I'm wrong, you still might not be wrong because your player's going to ball out. If I'm right, you win a league. Saquon Barkley, you are in the panic chamber.
You are in the panic chamber.
Get on over to the Patreon 24/7 live chat. Get on over there. The link's in the description. $10 a month, cancel anytime. You want a place to go and toss out trade ideas or just talk about football. 24/7 live chat group. $10 a month, cancel anytime. The link's in the description, patreon.com/the fantasy football show. It's basically like our live chat group all in one place. It's such a great place to hang out. It's like our home base for the fantasy football show community. I will see you all. I'm live Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. I'm live whenever big news breaks. And I'm also live at midnight Eastern almost every single night. See you. Peace.